welcome back. Here's one I prepared earlier. This is the Chronological Engine #1, which is what I based the Timezone clock on. And you can see, sorry about the reflections and stuff, here's the function control. So say I wanted to set it to the next up, set chronograph alarm, I click it up to there, and then the clock does whatever the clock needs to do. And then rings a bell to tell me that it's done it. Although Erin's one in for the Steampunk truck cab, isn't going to have a bell on it because it will keep ringing with the vibration. So the alarm is going to have a cuckoo, and in fact, yeah, the cuckoo will act like that. So if I move this back down, you can see the clock moves in a particularly attractive way and then tells me once it's reset itself to the right time. My next job is to make this assembly simple, I thought to myself, like I always do, because I'm really quite naive apparently. Little wooden knob, a couple of bits of plastic, lovely little bit of felt in here, 2 pieces of felt which I have to say works a treat. And this, interestingly, is held in place because obviously that comes through to probably about there where the end of the rotary switch is. But I felt that it was asking a bit much of one rotary switch there with a couple of ball bearings against springs in it to support something this long. So, cunning plan, I put a little magnet inside the end of this and then a row of 5 steel screws into the base. So it gives it a bit more support. Now, obviously my kitchen isn't rattling around down the road, so that is fine. What I've decided to do, and I've ordered some really strong little magnets, so I'm going to have a magnet in this bit and also possibly machined into this, or the back side actually, 5 captive magnets so they really do stick nicely. It does work very well though, I thank you. You would not believe how many bits go into this. Now I could have done it by putting a rotary switch in a box and putting a wooden knob on it with a little pointer, but no, there's a needle there, it's not part of it. This is much more complicated but looks nice. I think it goes that way up, doesn't it? So there's a piece of 10mm acrylic which is going to act as a support one side and needed look nice being because it's fixed at just each end, so it needed to be rigid enough to support itself right along. And the magnets I'm going to use are these. They are absolutely incredible. They are so powerful. They're minute. They're 5mm diameter, 2mm thick, but they are so incredibly powerful. Absolutely amazing things. I will show you. If I put that on there and try not to damage my camera, I don't know whether it's magnetism sensitive or whatever. There's a magnet. Here are the other magnets. And a pair of fingers. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? So having 2 of these with probably 1mm of acrylic and a layer of foam felt between them should be absolutely fine. Oh yeah, if anyone's interested in magnets, because I looked up where I got these from, and it's a company called Guy's Magnets in the UK. And it's amazing, because I looked on RS and they were going to charge me about £3 million for something the size of a grain of salt or something. So I had a look, and I'm glad I did, because Guy's Magnets sell every magnet conceivable. Also, during the meanwhilest, I've been working on this, because stupidly of course I forgot. Erin wants to store a load of freezer bags up here and a roll of tin foil or cooking foil down there. And I just put a shelf in, very nice, and didn't think about this. I think I was at one stage thinking about having an elastic thing across here. But just thinking about it, and I found this morning this lovely piece of wood, and it fitted, and I've glued it in, and it looks lovely, really nice. I know I am prevaricating again. I don't know why. I think it's the different stages of this project. Don't know why. Perhaps I'm out of practice, but that still fits in there, and that slides up and down a treat. And then I've got this piece. That goes in there through the O, which you can't find. Here we are. And then we have this delightful ensemble. 2 springs made of 1mm spring steel. A beautifully little machine thing that no one's ever going to see, but should function properly. So I put them on, like so. I'm going to continue threading this through the other eel, which is there. Now, that goes like that. Push that in like that. It's like one of those puzzles. Not quite sure what these puzzles are, but something rather. Right. Well, look at that. Now, I've just remembered, rather than having to get on with the next part of it, I need to make the poop bag, the dog poo bag dispenser thing here. The iris, Erin found that she wanted an iris to open and close to get access to the bag, rolls of bags. And she found them on Etsy and, you know, liked the look of them, so I've gone with that. I didn't want to get involved in trying to make my own one. And voila, we have synthesized or whatever, a copy of the 3D printed thing that I'm waiting for, so I can use that to help arrange everything else. After lots of umming and ahhing, that's the sort of thing I was thinking about, where it offsets, possibly with some so I found myself a lump of wood. There comes a time in every project's life, etc, etc. Lovely lump of wood, really square, gorgeous. And I've drawn on where this is going to go, the aperture, where the bottom roll is going to end up, where I mustn't go because the thing pops out there and there. Whether you can see any of this at all, anyway. And then the slot's going to come down like that. Far easier, rather than making it from bits of ply with angles and dangles and things, I can just cut this straight out on the bandsaw and then glue this lump of wood in. Then what I thought I'd do whilst I was waiting was to prepare these bits, and I've realised I made another cardinal mistake. As you know, if you've watched my videos before, if I've got 2 pieces of plastic to stick together, such as this 5mm piece and this 10mm piece, I always make the lower one slightly bigger by about 0.5 millimetre to 1 millimetre. Then it's easier to line up and it looks like it's meant to be there. Now, I forgot to change this and stuff and haven't in the past bothered with these bits, so the 5mm was the same size, so I duly tried to stick them on, having practiced lining them up first, but obviously when you put super glue on something and you've got 5 seconds to line it up, it never goes right. Very useful. I've been using these for a long time, years, and none of the abrasive rolls have worn out yet, and they do give you spares. There's a spare set, 2 spare sets. Very, very useful thing, because it allows you to get on the insides like that. Well, this is very nice. I put the one I haven't ever used before that happens to be exactly 40mm, which this is. Given beautiful results. Obviously it's just done the top bit. You can see the difference there though between the top bit and the unsanded bit. So now I'll raise the bed of the pillar drill up and then do the bottom. No, I won't. I'll just turn this over because then I can see what I'm doing. So this is what I'm talking about. I've got it arranged. I haven't glued it in yet, but I'm actually going to push that onto the floor. I've said before, the only reason I don't have a huge workbench is because this small one means I have to keep it tidy. The dog flatly refuses to go out for a walk today. Pouring with rain since first thing, and it's really, really hot and unpleasant, or humid anyway. So I thought I'd look at the humidity. Let's turn that to 2 to the left. What it's going to do, display the humidity, which was 68 at this time yesterday, 68%, dropped overnight. And look, it's rocketed up. It's now 82%. No wonder it feels humid. Hideous. I've drilled the eel. Da da da. There's the eel, and I've stained the focus. I've stained the bits of wood inside. Well, the bottom bits of the wood inside, so that's all nice and dry. That's very exciting. Oh, and I cut this out, not with the laser cutter this time, but with the wonderful fly cutter. You set it the distance from that cutting hardened tool steel cutter, the centre drill. You can adjust it by loosening the wing nut to any sort of diameter, and just make sure the top tip with the fly cutter is drill halfway through, or cut halfway through from one side, and then turn it around, because now you've got the guide hole drilled, then cut from the other side, and it means you get a perfectly smooth, beautiful cut. That's what the bit looks like, because obviously it's gone in from both sides. Don't just go right through from one side, because it'll then splinter and grab, and you need another piece of wood to sit it on, rough wood or whatever, and it's just a pain. Now then, next bit is quite complicated for a change. Here's the beautiful thing that's made up now with a lovely stained knob and the little window where you can see, and this bit. Now this is the interesting bit, because that bit has to be glued onto this bit, and then it sticks out somehow like that. And then there's this most amazingly magical thing involving the dark arts of electricity, because all of this stuff runs on 5 volts, as do all my machines. The stepper motors are 5 volts, all the LEDs happy running off 5 volts, and the Arduino, most importantly, is 5 volts. Problem is that the flickering lamp, the flame effect lamp, which is in that lovely 3D printed thing, that runs off 12 volts. I didn't even think about it at the time. Well, I possibly did, but then promptly forgot about it. That is a problem, dear friends, because if I run all this from 12 volts, which means that's okay, I've got to knock that down inside to 5 volts to run all this, and then somehow get a switch. That takes 5 volts in, 5 volts DC, and produces 12 volts output. I kid you not. Normally we'd have things like this with resistors or whatever else. You could put in 12 volts and get 5 volts or whatever you wanted out. This works the other way around. Isn't that amazing? In the olden days, when I was a child and learning about such things, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to have an oscillating circuit to turn DC into some sort of sine wave, then run it through a transformer backwards, and then you'd get the voltage you wanted, and then smooth it, rectify it and smooth it. This does all that in there. Now that's absolutely brilliant. To get to the point and stop wittering on, that means that I can use one of my lovely switches, electronic switches, which I've got two lots here to run the stepper motors, and as I've said before, I've got spare ones. The packages come with spare ones. Darlington pair switches to 2 outputs there, and now, or there even. Now what I can do to the one that runs the flickering lamp in here, well, I apologise for being so excited, but it's exciting. I can now put that between the two, then that will switch 5 volts, that will take the 5 volts, turn it into 12, 12 will run that. I have yet to try it, but I'm hoping it will work. Isn't that incredible? That's amazing. And again, it's worth experimenting, because in the future I might want to do other bits and pieces like this. Incredible. Anyway, stop it and get on with it. You would not credit it. Damn it, Janet. I've lost the prongs. The 3 spring clips. 1, 2, 3. They go in there and hold this together. Every time I use one of these clocks for one of these projects, I lose them. Brilliant. I've just found them. I went to the metal shed of storage to get another one of the clocks and saw one of the plastic trays full of bits and pieces that had obviously got tidied away, because I finished this clock, this part of it, so long ago that was before I'd tidied everything. That's brilliant news. The phrase horribly wrong comes to mind, and I haven't actually drilled any holes yet. What I've decided to do, and I'm glad I did, is I could have, as I said, print it off from the printer, from the CAD drawing, mark it all out like that, and I'm glad I didn't, because I think when I was redesigning the back to make room for things and improve the design, I moved the centre of this, where the rotary switch is. Now it moves in a slightly different place, so that means that this is moved. So I've lined up this, put that there, glue it on perfectly, Bob's your uncle, funny's your aunt, except that one's okay. That then overlaps here, which is really annoying. And in addition, this goes right over there. That's really annoying. As I say, all this will be because I must have changed the position of that slightly. There's nothing else that's changed. It's really weird. But with something this complex, things like this do happen. I really don't understand it. I'll have to go back and look at the drawings. But anyway, I don't want to rebuild all of this and everything else. So, because I know this is, oops, that's the right height away from that. Oh, I don't know. I was just thinking, well, to solve that problem, so I could drop this back to